Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 24 today for the Bahrain Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the opening round of this brand new season at the Australian Grand Prix last time out, then be sure to go check that video out before you see this one. Massive thank you for the support on that. A lot of excitement around Season 2. Obviously, you know, a brand new season to, try and kick off, I don't know, really, not title challenge, don't think quite yet, but at least a new chapter and kind of moving forward with the team, Alfa Romeo Racing. Unfortunately, last time out, still left kind of, thirsty for a podium, essentially, still maxing out that P4 position. But coming to Bahrain, then we've got two minor upgrades on the car, and I actually didn't realize how the scaling was in the R&D graph. That is actually quite a hefty upgrade in comparison to everyone else. You can see no one upgrades to Bahrain. I expect all the AI teams are saving R&D points for later on after having spent so much over the winter perhaps, and adapting parts. So we're the only team with upgrades into Bahrain. It gets us comfortably ahead of Red Bull Racing and very close to Ferrari actually now. So actually this could be quite a tasty one. We could very much be fighting the Ferraris properly now this time out, so we could potentially get that elusive podium. Here's hoping, knock on wood. I've not got any wood right now, but around me, I mean, our desk is right there. We go, knock on wood. Hopefully we can try and go for that, but we just have to see how it goes. Bahrain was a good race for us last season actually. I remember we did a alternative strategy after having a bad qualifying. Let's hope we can have a good qualifying and have a good strategy today and just good race pace like we did at Australia. But let's get into Saturday then and see how we do over one lap.
Bahrain qualifying is nearly upon us, and the drivers look as if they're all geared up to go. I expect we'll be getting underway very shortly. I want to talk briefly about the strategy in these qualifying sessions. Anthony Davidson, how can a driver adjust their approach to gain those critical extra tenths of a second?
Well, qualifying isn't about adjusting your approach necessarily. It's more about trying to repeat a low fuel run that you've practiced prior to this session. You're looking for perfection on the lap, and that's hard to achieve if you're trying something new. There are some variables that can stand in your way, however. Track position or unexpected yellow flags, for example. Coupled with ever-changing track conditions, it's important to be out there at the right moment. But as a driver, you have to try and ignore these distractions and just keep your mind focused on that one perfect lap.
Heading into turn one then, on our first flying lap in Q1. Obviously this was the hurdle we couldn't get past last season, so I'm hoping this will be a bit of an easier story basically for us today, and we can get through into Q2 on just one set of the soft tyres. The car feeling a lot better. Of course that might just be a bit to do with the patch as well. Bahrain, there's plenty of kind of medium to high speed corners, and for sure I think the patch and the difference of handling would have made things a little bit nicer to us around Bahrain. But also I can tell the upgrades have come in. Obviously we've slapped on a lot of downforce since we last came here to Sakir. So we come through the last corner, then going wide on purpose, trying to get the speed off there, and we go across the line. It's going to be P10 there, and it's going to be enough to get us through into Q2, thankfully there. Raikkonen does a good job in P6, showing some good pace there in the Alfa Romeo car, but down the order, surprising to see the likes of the Racing Point cars doing so badly there. And then obviously you've got Robert Kubica last place, but Lucas Weber in the other Renault actually got out there. So Weber straight away once again doing bits and showing he is the man to drag slow cars up the order. So he did it at Williams, and looks like he's going to try and do it again at Renault in this second season of the career mode. So we'll have to see how that progression goes, and maybe Renault will be rapidly increasing like Williams did last season. We'll have to see. I suspect the R&D trees are quite different though, so Weber might find it quite difficult to bring Renault up to the same levels where he brought Williams up to at the end of last year. But we now move across the line for our Q2 first final lap. That was P3, and I actually was very cautious about getting through because I thought that was actually quite high, P2 and P3. But lo and behold, we actually finish up in P6 then in the end. Once we go to the end of the session, Raikkonen maintained that high position and finished up in P2. So looks like we've got a lot of decent speed, and a surprise knockout to Q2 was Max Verstappen out in the Red Bull car, P11 then, best of the rest. Obviously he gets a free choice of tyres, so that might actually be quite good for Verstappen in the end of it, but very shocking to see that actually, that he got knocked out there, and he got knocked out by Ricciardo ironically in the Williams car. So the former Red Bull teammates there having a bit of a tussle in terms of qualifying where they were in the pecking order. But yeah, Raikkonen showing some really great speed in the car, so I don't know, we could be in for a very good top 10 shootout. I mean, maybe not right now in this first flying lap because a bit of a bad lock-up on that left-hander there. Obviously easy to lock up, but scrubbed off way too much speed there. So I think we probably have a few tenths to gain, I would say, on that second flyer that we're going to have, because we do have two sets to use in this Q3 session, thankfully. So we go through sector 1, purple at the moment there. Don't know if that's just purple on our personal best or purple the entire session. You can never really tell, or at least I can never really tell. But at the moment, Hamilton provisional pole, Leclerc ahead of us. We are still maintaining P5, despite what I thought was a pretty horrendous first lap there, and still locking up again and going wide. So again, just finding it tricky in Q3 for some reason. Maybe putting too much much pressure on myself to find speed and time in that corner. But we go through the last corner then. We're down to P7 now. That seems a bit more realistic, I would say. But across the line with DRS open, and it's going to be P4, I think that was. Yes, it is. P4, and Raikkonen is in P5. We split the Ferrari cars. Vettel was in P3. Very close, though, to the two Mercedes cars. So although Mercedes have a huge gulf in the R&D chart, Vettel's done a stunning job to be that close to them. But yeah, absolutely chuffed that we can split the two Ferraris there and get ahead of, well, both Red Bull cars. Obviously, Verstappen already out and Gasly down there in P8. So looks like the car very much is on pace to try and challenge the Ferrari. So we might have a very good chance of a podium. So let's go to Sunday and let's see how we do.
There's something in the Bahrain air tonight, and I'm not just talking about the sand. Our brightest minds have thrust their brightest ideas into the spotlight of the Sakir circuit this evening as we look ahead once more to a Grand Prix that has thrilled us so consistently in the past. There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best at turn 1, of course, and then another soon into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. Joining me for the Grand Prix once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's start with Alfa Romeo. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs, but this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, the engineer, Kimi Raikkonen and Leclerc, Magnussen, Gasly, Ricciardo and Sergio Perez, Verstappen, Butler, Lando Norris and Albon, Weber, Hülkenberg, Roman Grosjean and Lance Stroll, Giovinazzi and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Alright, so here we are on the grid, and looking at the strategy, it's going to be a bit of a difficult one for us, because unlike Season 1, we obviously don't have a free choice of tyres, so we are stuck on the soft tyre at the start, so we're going to have to do a 2-stop onto 2 sets of medium tyres. I really don't think the hards can go that, well, they probably can go long enough if I was able to stretch the softs, but I reckon the softs are going to go off really quickly. They did last year. Remember, there was that phase where our mediums were just so much faster than worn-out soft tyres for the cars ahead of us, and so that will happen to us, effectively, so we will have to kind of be forced onto the 2-stop. A bit more of an aggressive race, maybe, compared to the one we had last year, but raring to go, and I think we can get up. Well, I think we have a very good chance of a podium. But let's not get ahead of ourselves too much and just see how things pan out now as we go to 5 red lights then for round number 2 of Season 2 of this career mode here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. The lights are out, so we're underway, and it's a lot of wheel spin for Sebastian Vettel in P3 there. Good start for Bottas, going to cover off Hamilton into turn 1. Can we send one down the inside of the German as we kind of jockey for position there? Breaks a little bit later than I do. Pinches me through. Hamilton, though, down the inside. He's got it. He's got the race lead. Bottas down to second. Vettel's got us on traction there off the turn 2, but we're going to get the slipstream here. Overtake mode. Can we maybe make a move on the outside? It's a late move. Late dive. Lock up on the right. Go a little bit wide, but we're actually somehow still there and still in the fight here. So we're now going to go side by side into their section, down the hill, and Vettel surrenders the position, but we go very wide off circuit, completely off circuit on the curb. Offsets the car. Vettel round the outside of the hairpin, then we try and squeeze him off and be very aggressive with him, but it doesn't work out. He gets the elbows out, and so he's here on the inside to have the better line. We're going to be very awkwardly on the curb as well, so that's going to unsettle the rear end for sure, and so Vettel maintains that P3, but I think we have better straight line speed than the Ferrari car. Of course, the Ferrari, I think, on paper still has a better engine, but I think our car is a lot less draggy, essentially. That's not amazing English, but there we go. So I think we're just slippery in a straight line. That's a better phrase to use, and so we're going to catch up now on towards lap number 2. No DRS yet, remember, just pure slipstream. We're going to fade to the right, go to the left-hand side on the outside for turn 1. Vettel with a massive lock-up, though, and that puts off my plan of going around the outside there to the inside for turn 2. Instead, I cut back through and just get a better exit and get on the power earlier than he can, and so we go to the right. Vettel, though, squeezes. Look at him there. He's not giving me any room on the left there. there. Really forces me to the inside, but we're not going to have any of it there. We stick to the inside and force him out, squeeze him out to the point where now Raikkonen has gone down the inside, and Kimi might have a good chance of getting up into P4, but we are in P3 now of the Bahrain GP finally. But look at the gap already. The Mercedes are streaking out. Raikkonen, though, as we look through the replay camera shot, is still trying to battle Vettel, but I think Vettel has just about maybe managed to get that, I think. I mean, Raikkonen tries his luck on the outside. They're still there side by side, actually. Raikkonen's giving it a good old try to get P4 there. It's now a drag race down this back straight, and Raikkonen might just win that, actually. Yes, he has, so he's up into P4. And what did I say about him now chasing after me? Here he goes, trying to spoil the party here on lap number 3, down the inside for P3, and there's a bit of contact there, and oh, Kimi, come on, lifts off there mid-corner, and I'm so lucky I did not slam down the power earlier, otherwise that probably would have been a bit of a front wing damage situation there for me. So a little bit of frosty between myself and Kimi. Let's just keep things calm, mate. We're both fighting for a podium. Let's not wreck it and both not get anything from this Grand Prix. So we have a little look on the outside. Ultimately, those stick behind him, but we have the DRS now as we move on to lap number 4 as we cross the line for a new lap. So this should be a pretty easy move for us in a straight line there. DRS popped open up into overtake mode on the ERS as well. This moment also using plenty of rich mix, and we are past, but Vettel might also sail past there, so we go defensive on the inside, trying to kind of basically block off Vettel, to be honest, just to kind of give Kimi a helping hand there. And so through turns 2 we do, and we maintain P3, but oh, looks like Vettel still managed to get Raikkonen on the traction there, and then tries to chase after me. But we now move on the next lap at the end of that same lap, and Raikkonen's going to try and line up a pass on Vettel to re-overtake him for P4 there, but Leclerc is also bouncing around quite close behind Kimi, so let's see how this goes. But he moves to the right, we move back to Vettel's very weird, awkward camera shot there, I've got to admit. But Raikkonen, there he is down the inside into turn 1, and he's back up into P4. But look at Leclerc getting the nose nearly down the inside of his teammate Vettel there. So we haven't seen too much of Leclerc so far, but now we've got kind of a 2x2 situation. 2 Mercs up in P1 and P2, 2 Alfas, and then 2 Ferrari cars, very much like Noah's Ark here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. But we now move on lap number 5 into the pit lane for an early pit stop. It is a very early pit stop, actually, because it's definitely, I think, 2 laps earlier than my default was, but the tyres were really not feeling great, very second hand. Like I said, the soft tyres were going to wear out quite quickly. This happened last year, if you remember. The only reason why the one stop last year for us worked out so well was because all the cars ahead of us, their soft tyres just started to go off so quickly, and the mediums then became the faster race tyres. So I'm hoping with this undercut effect that we were doing on our rivals around us, we can comfortably get back up into what will be a net P3 once we obviously get past all the people finally making their pit stops. So we come out now, not in clean air. We've got Giovinazzi, I think that is, in the Haas car now these days in Season 2. Obviously the man I replaced effectively in Season 1. He's now back on the F1 grid in the black and gold liveried Haas, but obviously not doing too well these days. Haas are, after the post-patch updates, and then through the winter, not too great, so they're the second worst team on the grid, so not an amazing car to come back to. And so it's a pretty easy pass for us that was, sailing around the outside there, silky smooth stuff. But now we're on lap number 9 and we're up into P14. Raikkonen there, you can see on the top left there, is out in P15 on a set of soft tyres. So Raikkonen is doing a 2-stop, like everyone else here in the top 10, but he's doing a very aggressive one. 2 sets of soft. To be fair, he's gone 8 laps on soft tyres, so that was a whole 3 laps longer than I can manage. So yeah, his tyre wear just clearly is a lot better than mine. I definitely could not do it. Got to put my hands up. Don't have the tyre wear for that. I don't know if I'm just wearing them out too much, taking too much out of them in the corners, trying to get the lap time, whatever the case. Yeah, Kimi's just got a much better setup going on maybe for the tyres. So yeah, he's doing a very aggressive 2-stop. But now we move on towards lap number 10. We can see there into the last turn, it was Kubica fighting Grosjean, and again they go scrapping away. Kubica with the overtake there in the Renault on the Haas of Grosjean. We're going to make a double pass though down the inside with DRS, and Kubica puts up a good fight though into turn 1 and nearly outbrakes me there, but he squeezed him out eventually up into P11. And now we've got more traffic ahead of us of Hulkenberg in the Racing Point car, and then I think it looks like a few Williams cars up ahead, so we'll see how that goes. But meanwhile behind, Grosjean and Kubica still fighting, and now Raikkonen's the one having to overtake them. And oh, Grosjean's gone very wide, so Raikkonen nips down the inside very subtly, and now he can get on the back of Royal Kubica in the Renault, and it's going to be an easy move down the inside with the drag race. So that obviously the Alfa's going to win that one against the Renault, and meanwhile up ahead of us, we're going to go down the inside of Hulkenberg. It's very close there as Hulkenberg squeezes us on to the curb, and so we have to ride that curb a little bit to make the pass happen, but we've made it nonetheless up into P10. So thrilling action here at Bahrain. A little bit of a twitch of oversteer there. You can can see getting the power down a little bit awkwardly on that exit curve, but now we chase after Alexander Albon there, so my bad, not two Williams cars, two Toro Rossos rather there, in tandem, making a bit of a sandwich with Lance Stroll. So Albon's going to try and make a pass on Stroll, I think this is, so we've got DRS, so we're just about within 1 second, but I don't think we'll be able to make a move into turn 1. Albon will, though, down the inside of Stroll, but look at Stroll going down the inside of Butler, and so it's 3 wide between those 3 cars, and now they'll slow each other down so much there. Butler around the outside, Albon real slow on the entry to turn 2, so we're right up his gearbox here, trying to find some space on the left. We just about managed to find it, because Albon, what on earth is he doing there? Wobbling around left and right. It's almost like he's lost control of the car in a straight line. We go sailing around the outside of Stroll and Albon, and we're up into P7. So that probably was the best case scenario there, getting those two in one corner like that. But that was very iffy, as some very questionable driving from Albon there. I don't know what on earth he was actually trying to do. But meanwhile, we now move on to later on to our lap 11. We're chasing after Butler now, our old F2 rival here, going down on the right-hand side there into the last corner. He will probably get DRS now off us, though, unfortunately, because we're going to be ahead at the detection point. So that might be a little bit of an annoyance for us. I don't know how fast that Toro Rosso is going to be in a straight line, but locking up into that last corner doesn't help me, because Butler is already side by side with me. So here we go now, as we now go down the pit straight, squeezing Butler towards the wall, but he's got ahead of us now, just about. So we have to try and send one to the inside. There's not too much room to go, but we go real late on the brakes, bit too late, as we nearly got off circuit, just about slowed the thing down in first gear, but Butler gets the switch back around the outside of turn 2, and so this is a very close fight, a little bit personal, of course, being old F2 rivals, and so we're now on the right hand side. He's squeezed us to the right, but we're going to push him back to the left and try and force him out now, and he's not going to have too much room left to work with on the exit of that curb, and so we're going to be up the position, but Butler will stay with us and keep the pressure on as we go through on the back straight. Here he is now on the back. He's got DRS available. We got defensive on the left hand side. He's on the outside then for the very awkward uphill fight, and Butler's got it though, and he's just going to give us enough room, but it's getting so close. At some point Raikkonen will also try and join the fight, I think, because he's already right there in the mirrors, so I need to kind of get past him very soon and actually get it done and completed here. So we're going to go for a second time now into the last corner. This time though, hopefully won't be locking up as we go into the apex. We're on the outside though this time around, so that might be a little bit difficult, and Butler will maintain that. He's the one, ironically, now locks up through the last corner, but you can see Kimi and Albon are right there, so we've lost a lot of time actually fighting Butler so hard. And so here we go down the main straight on lap 13, just checking where Butler is with the rear view, and there goes Raikkonen now on the left hand side on the outside of Butler. That'll be into turn 1. We go very defensive, but also too late on the brakes, way too late. It's a massive mistake for us. Raikkonen now has somehow managed to find his way down the inside, so we're side by side with him on the exit of turn 2 rather than the Toro Rosso. I really thought that it was going to be the Toro Rosso, but Kimi's made a fantastic move then to get past Evan, and now he's right on the back of me, but that was a really bad mistake, and we just about survived that in P5 there. Meanwhile, Lucas Weber in P4 just doing his business right now on the medium tyres. I suspect he started on those tyres, so he's just trying to do that one stop effectively a lot of us did in the midfield last year. But on to the end of lap 13, Kimi sends it down the inside. To be fair though, I make it easy for him because I want to try and get the DRS back on him here, but I think, have I actually got it? I don't think I have. No, Raikkonen's got it. I miscalculated when I actually lifted off, so that's great. So we're going to have to stick behind him now as we move on to the new lap. We're into P4. Raikkonen now inherits that P3, so a bit of a miscalculation there for me for where the detection point is, because the detection point obviously is a little bit further back earlier on the road essentially. That's why I missed the DRS, so it's fine because we go through on towards lap 15. We're still within 1 second of Raikkonen, so we can now get the DRS on this lap and re-overtake him here. So no worries, it's all calm. Personal best lap time set as well in that last sector, and so there we go, waltzing past him once again and back up into P3. But you can see, as was the case in Australia, the Mercedes cars nowhere to be seen as they dominate the entire Grand Prix. At the moment it looks like Bottas is the one in the lead, so he's retaken the lead from Hamilton. That Hamilton stole off lap number 1, but now we move to lap 15, a lock up there on that left-hander in the middle sector, and so that's going to be Raikkonen right on the back of us once again. Which way is he going to go? Which way are we going to go? We stay on the racing line. Raikkonen goes down the inside there, and so we're going to have to go the long way around, and Kimi's going to get very close with us, and a bit of contact made with our left front tyre to his side pod. Ooh, once again getting chopped off by Raikkonen as we go up the hill there. That same section actually, that was the same section we got chopped off last time where he brake checked us up the hill there. So Kimi definitely trying to push my buttons a little bit, and it's getting very close margins here. But if we keep fighting like this, I'm just thinking that something's bound to happen, so I need to try and get past him, just nip it in the bud, and that'll be it. But we'll see. That's easier said than done when you're in the same car basically. So we open DRS again on lap 16 now to try and pass him in a straight line. This time we go to the left hand side as Kimi holds a middle line. But into turn 1, a little bit more cautious on the brakes than Raikkonen, so into turn 1 he goes over the curb. That's going to unsettle his car, and we're able to send it back down the inside of turn 2, but he's still there, so we have to leave him the room and lift off a little bit. He's got the nose in, but we've got DRS now, second bite of the cherry, and we'll push away and try and maintain his P3 now to hopefully our pit stop. And so here we come, speaking of that, on lap 17, in for that second and final stop onto another set of medium tyres. But obviously Raikkonen, I was surprised how well he was doing there on the softs, considering it wasn't the soft. They weren't going off too much for him. So again, like I said earlier, I don't know, maybe he's done something a little bit different on the setup to try and be a little bit easier on the tyres around the lap, whereas myself definitely trying to just get the lap time, raw lap time out of the car rather than trying to think about too much about the tyre wear here. But I do have actually lower tyre pressures than most on the default there, so I imagine maybe that's helped me a little bit, but not too much. And generally, obviously, the AI is just quite consistent, to be fair. So we come out then behind a Renault on the hard tyres there, so that's going to be Lucas Weber. I was going to guess it was going to be Weber even before we confirmed that with the name tag, as he was, of course, earlier on the Grand Prix, up in P4 in a lot of clean air, trying to do this one stop clearly from towards back of the grid. So here we come now, overtaking Weber on the inside, and as we do that, Raikkonen has just come out of the pit lane as well on the set of medium tyres. So yeah, he's very much doing an aggressive two-stop there, but Weber puts up a pretty good fight into turns 1 and 2, actually, to my surprise there. So already dragging that Renault car up a lot more and putting a much bigger fight than Kvyat ever did earlier on that race. But now lap 19, 10 laps to go, up into P6. Norris on hard tyres as well, so we have to actually chase after Norris, and we have to actually overtake him on track. We won't get a pit stop overtake from him, so we move on to lap 21. Hasn't taken us too long though, because the pace really isn't that great on hard tyres versus the mediums here, with also the performance difference between the McLaren and Alfa Romeo. So we come up and close up on Norris quite a bit here. Can we make a move to the inside? We think about it into the hairpin, and last minute just have to duck out. Norris very aggressive on the pinch there, and to be fair, if I committed so much earlier to that move, I probably would have been able to send one down the inside and get that, but I was just a bit too cautious there. I need more commitment really in a lot of these moves. Actually, if I was more committed on the Butler overtake, I probably would have done him straight away as well. But now Norris, we fight him on the exit, the last corner there, side by side drag race. Now we should be able to win this though, but the McLaren obviously in real life very slippery in a straight line, so let's see about that. Looks like we will have him, but he's got DRS actually, I do not, and now Raikkonen's going to come through and make it 3 wide and maybe try and send one down the outside of me actually. There he goes, he's got it on the outside. We have to leave him some space, but then we pinch him into turn 2 and maintain that P4. But Raikkonen goes ahead and overtakes Norris in the same basically bit of the track that I overtook him. So Raikkonen really efficient with the overtakes now. But now as we move on, I've just realised we're P4, Verstappen is in P3 on the hard tyres. Remember, Verstappen got knocked out in Q2. We used P11, so we had a free choice of tyres. I think Verstappen has just ruined this. I think Verstappen's ruined our podium chance. I think he's too far ahead now in a Red Bull car to overtake. I'm not too sure about that, but as you saw there, as the Ferraris overtook the McLaren, there is Verstappen then with quite a bit of a gap to us, about 7-8 seconds this is in P3 on the hard tyres, doing this one stop. I think he's ruined it. I think the podium's gone. We had a slight podium chance, but now Verstappen, the wild card out in P11 in qualifying, has just gone and just finessed everyone here basically. And as we enter the last few laps of the Grand Prix, it's going to be Ferrari piling on the pressure. Leclerc here in P6 trying to get Raikkonen for P5. Meanwhile in the background, Vettel jostling for position with Norris, but Leclerc down the inside. Lock up though from him on the front right, but he still gets it done maybe. But Raikkonen's back down the inside, so it's a good duel. You can see clearly very much so the R&D progress has worked. We very much are kind of on pace with Ferrari there, as Raikkonen maintains that P5 position onto lap 25 now, and is actually now going to try and pressurise me. We're going to try and let him through though on purpose here on medium ERS, because there is the detection point. So this time I should have this calculated correctly. I should get DRS back on Raikkonen, but the issue for me is actually, as I tried to do a bit of wily old fox play, Leclerc is also there, so he might just get Raikkonen here because of me. So that's a bit unfortunate for the team, because there goes Leclerc now. He's actually down my inside. He's going to try and overtake me. So we're 3 abreast there into turn 1. A bit aggressive on the defence, because I didn't know where on earth Leclerc was, so I had to kind of just try and aim for the apex as aggressively as I could, but also left some room on the inside in case he was still there. And somehow we've actually maintained P4 and 5 actually. I thought Leclerc for sure would have had at least one of us there to the inside, so that's pretty damn good. So on to lap 27 then, no Raikkonen again comes knocking on the right hand side there, plows past with DRS, and so we go to none ERS mode, to be fair to us, because Raikkonen locks up into turn 1. But I was going to say, because we know we can try and get it back on the very next lap basically on that same back straight. So here we come now towards the last turn on towards lap 28 this will be, No, it's quite late margins to be doing this sort of thing and banking on the fact I could stay with him, but I have stayed with him, so it's all fine. So we'll get DRS here. We'll be up into overtake mode eventually, and also probably using a little bit of fuel as well. Rich mix there momentarily. Don't have too much fuel to burn, but we'll play around with some, and we'll go through on the right hand side and get back past him into P4. It's going to be a bit of work though into turn 1, turns 2, as we're again cautious on the brakes, not wanting to lock up there, but into turn 2 we get it done, and that is going to be us seen through for the end of the Grand Prix. So we come through the last corner. Hamilton in the end actually won the Grand Prix despite Bottas being in the lead for quite a fair bit, and in the end we come home in another P4 at the Bahrain GP. I mean, it's still a great position, but it's still not a podium, is it?
Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
So even though I sound a little bit disheartened about P4, it's a very solid race for the team. P4 and 5 there, compared to obviously Raikkonen had issues at Australia. So finally Raikkonen gets on the board then, up into P7 in the drive standings. We're P3 now, so we're best of the rest, really. I think that will be, unless everything changes drastically with R&D, that looks like where everyone's going to be fighting for, basically. If you're not in a Mercedes, you're going to be fighting for P3 in the championship and P2 in the constructors. I hope, though, we can all start to catch Mercedes and they have a bit of diminishing returns based on their R&D. I've been told, actually, I think I saw a comment on the last episode saying that Season 2, the R&D can be very wild indeed. I'm hoping so, and that we see a lot of changes. But we get 400 extra resource points for meeting our contract objectives. That's going to be very good for us in terms of upgrades. In terms of choosing our rival now for the beginning part of this season, I'd choose Max Verstappen, because of course he was the man that took the podium away from us. So I'm not bitter, but yeah, it seemed like a logical rival to choose basically in this moment in time. But speaking about R&D, we have 1,700 points, just over that. I was thinking about upgrades, but also at the same time I thought, why don't we save some points here for a bit, do what the AI are doing right now, save some points, and let's go for some big whammy upgrades all at the same time a little bit later on in the season, maybe around Baku or the Spanish GP when the real European part of the season begins, essentially trying to mimic what the AI are doing here, because I think they've got something. Obviously it's good to have regular upgrades, but if we have one massive one that can leapfrog us up to Mercedes level, in one race time, that would be pretty mega. So we're going to save some points for now. Hopefully we'll maintain the R&D pace over Ferrari. We'll have to see at the start of next episode, but that's the plan. But it's been a pretty damn solid Bahrain Grand Prix, a very feisty one that was. A lot of fighting with, what was it, Raikkonen, Butler, Leclerc, Vettel at the very start as well. A lot of great fights there at Sakir. So guys, if you did enjoy that one, be sure to smash that button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, subscribe for weekly Formula content. I've been Alfa. Hope you enjoyed today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.